On this episode of Locked On Angels, the Halos are riding high into the weekend to play the Marlins, and they started the series with a win. It was their 8th straight, and then they ruined all the vibes, and they lost the next 2. So what happened? We're going to celebrate Friday, and then we're going to explain what happened on Saturday and Sunday. They were a bummer. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation.
Happy Memorial Day to you, and thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
It's our 4th season here as the host of Locked On Angels, talking Angels baseball with you every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. On today's show, we're going to recap the weekend that was against the Marlins. 2 things, Mike, 2 things. First of all, I had a rare find out here in Pasadena. I was getting gas on Saturday, and a man was filling up his car, and he had an Angels shirt. Just classic red Angels logo on the front, Angels shirt. So I introduced myself. So told him that we do Locked On Angels. His name is Steven. So Steven, hope you found the podcast, and shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in and the good conversation. Like I said, rare find out here in Pasadena, LA County. Second, which one of you watched or didn't watch or wore a different hat or listened on the radio or watched on TV instead of listened on the radio like you had been doing? Who changed their socks or who bragged about the winning streak to their friend? I tweeted that actually because I want to know who did something different to cause this lose this the end of the streak. Mike, I'm all verklempt because I'm upset that somebody messed up the juju, didn't they?
Yeah, wasn't me. I was wearing the same clothes through the 8 games. Wife loved that. Didn't talk about it. I know you don't talk about this team. Like, I can talk about this team with friends. I don't talk about like, hey, we're on a winning streak. I just go, hey, 1 game at a time, taking that really serious. So it wasn't me. I'm going to exclude myself from the conversation.
One of my favorite replies came from George Wilson Jr. He said, it was the Del Taco I had for lunch today. Shouldn't have had that Del Taco. And then GW said, I was at the game. It was my fault. Wife was doing the giant flag before the game. Oh, that's cool. She got to walk the flag. We've got to do that before. That's fun. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. And then AWRGZ said, it was the first game I went to this season. It's my fault. So it's everybody's fault. That's how
I
these
appreciate
things go.
The ownership of everydayers, man. Thanks for owning it. And that's how you heal it, right? That's
I had Del Taco. Well, I changed my hat. I was wearing this guy all week. Well, hopefully this one puts us on the win streak. This is the one I was wearing when I was talking all that nonsense about how they're going to sweep the Dodgers and lose to the A's. And I look like an idiot. So hopefully this hat gets us going tonight against the Yankees, Mike. So that's for tonight. Let's get into what happened on Friday.
Yeah, they won 7-4, and it was a continuation of their winning streak. 8 wins in a row. And Johnny, it was exciting. Everybody was thrilled. Even Wash, he was like, hey, we're back to 0. Yeah. Now we just got to get straight, start moving forward, and go from there. Fortunately, they didn't do that. Now, Wash did say this isn't a 500 team. The players don't think we're a 500 team, and we don't think that we're a 500 team. And so I don't know if I agree with that, John. I know from the beginning of the season, I have said that I think that their lid is 500. I think that they can go 81-81. I think they can get to at least 80 wins this season. I know that you had a show where you talked about them potentially getting to the playoffs. Very convincing argument, right? But I think that their lid is 500. I think if they do anything over 500, it's just a bonus. What are your thoughts on what Wash said?
I think that they should be over 500 based on some of the decisions that have been made, some of the bullpen moves that have been made. Mike, there have been so many winnable games that they've let get away because of one reason or another that it's like, well, there's a game you could have won, right? Sure. Remember? Yeah. I think it was after 2022, we did a show where we said, look at all these winnable games.
13 games. Yep.
That's right. And 13 games was the difference, I think, between where they ended up and a possible playoff spot in 2022. And oh yeah, because a lot of those were part of the losing streak of that year. I feel the same way about how they've performed so far. There have been just the one decision, the one mistake, the one bozo play that could have been a different situation. And so it's like, yeah, you lost the game, but you lost it because of one choice or one bad play. And if things had gone just a little bit different, or you made a better choice, I think that they would be above 500. Maybe not the best record in the world, but at least after this 8-game win streak, they could have been better than where they stand currently.
Yeah, what they did on Friday is not what they did on Saturday and Sunday, and it was a continuation of the 8-game winning streak, John. Through that 8-game winning streak, the Angels hit 291. They had a 903 OPS. They scored 61 runs, and that's 7.6 runs a game. They hit 19 home runs, and they were led, Johnny, by Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward was somebody who was on a hot streak, and then he went ice cold Saturday and Sunday, and we'll get to that. But Ward was slashing in May after Friday night, was slashing 280 with a 333 on base and a 707 slugging. 707 slugging.
Wow.
2 home runs in May, and that included an 0 for 11 start. Now, he was able to reach base on Friday in 9 consecutive games, had an extra base hit. He actually broke that the next game, tied Darren Erstad, one of my favorite Angel players, for the franchise record. Hoppy spoke about Taylor Ward, said, man, he's sick. I love that. He said, I'm really grateful that his locker's next to me because I've learned so much just picking his brain. Helped me to have better at bats too. The conversations with him and seeing how clear his head is and his ability to work through things is pretty impressive. Now, Johnny, the Angels, they were up 6-0 in this game.
Yeah.
And great support to Yusei Kikuchi, who got his first win as a Halo. About time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this one, his biggest issue was the walks, right, Mike? And so that was an issue. But to get there, he went 5 2/3, 7 hits, didn't give up any runs, 4 walks and 4 strikeouts on 110 pitches. So he labored. He labored through the 5 2/3, and Wash even gave him a chance to try to finish out that 6th inning and just came 1 out short of doing that. But he lowered his ERA to 3.17, which is fantastic. But again, the walk rate is at 11.5% right now, which is up from 6% from last year. And when you walk a lot of guys, you're throwing a lot of pitches. Guys are getting on base. You're having to labor through at bats. And this is why he wasn't able to finish that 6th inning. But he has completed 6 innings in 6 starts and only failed to get through 5 just once. So he hasn't been striking out hitters like last year either. His strikeout rate has dropped from 28% last year to 20.7%. What I did like, and I know it was only 4 strikeouts, but it seems like he's made some fundamental changes at the mound from the beginning of this year to now, including what you mentioned the other day, a couple of weeks ago, where he's more upright on the. I think that's made a very significant change for him. Here's what he had to say after the game. I think the most important thing is to try to keep the team in the game. The Marlins today had a good approach at the plate in the first few innings. They didn't swing at the first pitch. And then there are a few little cheapies that they got as well. That's out of my control. So the biggest thing is just to keep the team in the game. Funny to say like a few little cheapies because the Marlins played small ball, and we'll talk about that on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. And it wasn't dropping down bunts. I mean, I know that they attempted to and things like that and got some down, but it was base hits, and it was just piling on, and they were frustrating base hits. Yeah. Not like dinky do base hits, but just like, oh, that's out of reach of Neto. Oh, that's out of reach of Moncada. Oh, that's out of reach of this guy. And so we'll get to that in the next 2 games. But talk to us about Hunter Strickland, Mike.
Yeah, came in, got the final out of the 6th inning when Kikuchi was taken out, and he did so with the help of Zach Neto. He made a great play at short. He was charging a slow roller, and then he threw that ball 100 miles an hour, felt like, to first base. And that left the bases loaded, kept the Marlins off the scoreboard. Sean Anderson, who did get DFA'd after this game, he entered in the 7th, allowed 4 runs on 6 hits and 1 1/3 innings of work. Baseball is the epitome of what have you done for me lately, because that guy was the hero against the Dodgers and not the hero against the Marlins. Now, here's what the Angels didn't do the rest of the weekend that they did on Friday and through this winning streak. They added on. They had insurance runs, and they added on in this game up 6-4. Jorge Soler hits a home run in the 8th inning. It was his 7th home run, dead center field, gave the Angels a 3-run lead. And then Kenley Jansen comes in for the save. He walked 2 guys, but closed the game out with a pop out to short. And the Angels were celebrating after this game, but they tempered the celebration. Logan O'Hoppe had something really interesting to say, Johnny. He said in regards to this 8-game winning streak, and he really kind of pumped the brakes a bit. He said, we have the same approach that I was telling you guys when things were going bad. We don't want to talk about how great things are going either. The one thing that I'm learning in my career is that success can be as toxic as failure sometimes. So we have to attack the plan at hand with a neutral headspace, knowing that the game is tough. The game is really hard. Respect that and attack the plan at hand. I love that Logan O'Hoppe is being the guy that's standing in front of the media, that's doing interviews, and that is leading this team. And I love that he has a good perspective of where things are at. And Friday night, I think he had a really good perspective, even though us as Angel fans were like, awesome, back to 500. This is perfect for this team. Now let's go and win the series. Even if they did lose the next game, they could have won on Sunday, and that would have been a bonus for them because they would still be at 500 as they get ready to play the Yankees tonight. Fortunately, that didn't happen, but I do like the mentality that he's approaching the game with. I would just like to see more success on the field. And again, I think about what Everydayer James Russell Barton said. Am I expecting too much, Johnny, from this roster, or is this roster at times, like Game 2 and Game 3 of this weekend, just not playing up to their abilities and their potential?
Yeah. Look, I don't want to get it twisted what O'Hoppe said. It's the same approach I was telling you guys when things were bad. He's not talking about the hitting approach
right
either.
Yes.
And I think that's important to point out because these guys have clearly made some changes, and you can see the way that they're approaching the ball had been different during that win streak. Mike, I felt like they kind of got back to what they'd been doing wrong in games 2 and 3 on Saturday and Sunday. And we're definitely going to get into that conversation, but I want to say thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, what the heck happened? And what happened to these Halos on Saturday and Sunday? We'll share why they didn't win the next 2 games against the Marlins and what, if any, changes that need to be made. We'll get into that conversation coming right up.
The Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals in the NBA are happening. Last night, the Knicks finally got a victory against the Pacers. What a crazy, wild series. And even if you're not a fan, you can use FanDuel to actually engage with these games and maybe win some money because you're smart, and FanDuel is going to help you be even smarter with player props and performance trends and same-game parlays. Whether it's before tip-off or live during the game, there's more than any way that you can think of that you can bet on these games and win some money. And with FanDuel, it's great because if you go to their website, FanDuel.com, you can place a $5 bet. And if your $5 bet wins, they're going to give you $200 in bonus bets. So you have an opportunity to not just double your money, but quick math, quadruple, whatever the number is.
Times 80?
Times 80. Get a lot of money. You're smart. And the NBA
40,
is a part of the... See, that's why we're podcast guys and not math magicians, right? The thing about FanDuel is they make it really easy, even for people like John and I, to make bets and win, and you can too. Again, visit FanDuel.com, place a $5 bet. You're going to get $200 in bonus bets, and you can make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. I'm laughing because I just realized what was behind you, and you got the pledge going on behind you.
Oh, I do?
Yeah, you got the pledge going on. Oh, don't touch it. You got to leave it there.
Yeah,
because you're trying to wipe away this bad juju the Angels had. Here's the thing, Mike. If the Angels win tonight, you're leaving that dang pledge on the shelf behind you. Don't touch the pledge.
I'm not touching things. Remember, I didn't take the blame for the way the losing streak ended, and so I'm going to leave it there. It's going to be there tomorrow. If they win, it's going to be there tomorrow until they lose. That's going to be great.
Pledge. Let's go.
That's going to be Brother Pledge along with Brother Mike and Brother John. Hey, Johnny, Saturday, Angels lose 6-2. This game, as you mentioned in the first segment, it felt like the Angels prior to the winning streak, right? Struggling starting pitcher, some bad bullpen. The offense just couldn't capitalize when they had a chance to score. And that really happened from the get-go. But before the game, Angels call up Caden Dana.
Yeah.
And they designate Sean Anderson for assignment. Dana as his role on the team. They made it sound like he was going to be around for a bit. Caden Dana, according to Wash, was going to be their long guy out of the bullpen if we need him in that situation. He has length. We need length, is what Wash said. He said if something happens in the second inning, he could take the game all the way to the end. That's what we need. Wash said he also isn't worried about stagnating Dana's development. He said he's available to pitch. This was his day, so we brought him up. And once we use him, if need be, we'll send him back down. If not, we're going to keep him here. So we know that he got used in this game, and it wasn't great for Caden Dana. He did say that his focus, being at the major league level right now and what he's learning at the minor leagues, is that he needs to get ahead of hitters and not nitpick around the zone. He needs to throw strikes. He said there are times when I get in trouble and I get behind in counts and I walk guys, and that's when things go bad for Caden Dana. And so good news, Dana threw strikes and didn't walk guys in 2 innings of work. The bad news is that he pitched 3 innings on Saturday. And Johnny, it was that first inning that was not too good, right?
Not too good. He gave up 2 hits, 3 runs, and 3 walks. There was a home run in there. That was the 3 runs there, 3 strikeouts. And you typed 468 pitches. Is that intentional or?
Yes.
I see. Now you said he actually threw 41 pitches. That's fantastic. Only half of them were strikes.
Yes.
And that was the issue. He struggled to locate the fastball. He used his changeup to get strikeouts. But this inning really hurt the Angels. They trailed by 5 runs heading into the bottom of the 7th. In his second inning of work, the top of the 8th, he got the Marlins 1-2-3, only threw 9 pitches, and 5 of them were strikes. And then his final inning, the top of the 9th, he gave up a walk and a single, but got a double play to end the inning. Mike, I was kind of actually surprised at the reaction to Caden Dana being called up, because for some reason, and maybe this speaks well to, or actually I should say it doesn't speak well to how the Angels thought this game was going to go, because they DFA'd Sean Anderson because they needed a long reliever. And so I figured, Caden Dana's coming up for, just to be a fresh body, a fresh arm, and then they'll send him back down to AAA. I saw a lot of people upset at the fact that he was coming up to do this, and not really a spot start, but just like hey, if we need a long man, he's going to be that guy. Well, the weird thing is that they did end up needing him in this one. So it was like, wait, did you not plan to be ahead in this game? Did you plan on needing a long man? And so it wasn't bad to have him as a reinforcement, but just the way that Wash talked about him, it was like, if something happens, we'll bring him in. And so it's like, right. Are you not confident you're going to be ahead in this game? So all that to say, I don't know why, but my assumption was he's going to be up for this game and right back down, which I didn't have a problem with at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just want him to develop. They want him to be the guy that he could potentially be. And it seems like when he gets to the major league level, what he did on Saturday is what he's done pretty much in every outing, right? He has a really bad inning, and then he has a really good inning. And that's the thing I think that really frustrates everydayers and frustrates fans like us, because you're using a guy who needs consistency and needs to develop and is a young guy. And I think a lot of people think about, well, this isn't going to be great for his confidence, because every time he's at the major league level, he's getting smashed, right? He's getting hammered by the opposing team. But I understand why they brought him up. In fact, I think it was Jared Timms from Talking Halos that tweeted out about a month ago. He said, man, I think I'd bring up like Clausen, Altagiri, and Caden Dana and have a mixed match of them, some in the starting rotation and some in the bullpen, because those are arms that you can rely on. And that was when the bullpen was really, really struggling. And so, and Jared's not dumb. Jared's a pretty brilliant mind when it comes to baseball. And so I think this move really was anticipated to be a move where, hey, just in case, we'll bring him in. But then it really became a reality because Soriano really struggled in this game to locate as well.
Yeah, I was actually interested to see Caden Dana back up because I wanted to get the StatCast information on, his release point and his arm slot and all that stuff. So I'm excited to go back and look at that. That's something I'll need to look into, and maybe we can find out if he has fixed that since being in AAA, which it looks like he has. But now that we have the actual StatCast and Baseball Savant data, we can look into that deeper. But you mentioned Soriano starting this game. He struggled to locate, as you mentioned. 4 2/3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 strikeout on 97 pitches. 2 of the 3 walks were leadoff walks to start the inning. 1 in the second and 1 in the fifth. Both of those leadoff walks came around to score. As I mentioned to Jeremiah from Locked On Marlins on Friday, sometimes Soriano just doesn't have it, doesn't have a feel for his pitches. This one felt less like feel to me and more like trying too hard. Like he wasn't free and easy. He seemed to be overthrowing in this one. Would you agree?
Yeah, Swilly Sports actually tweeted about that, and I love that now that she's in New York, she's still paying attention to the Halos. That's a true fan there. But she mentioned that it felt like he was trying to really be extra fine or extra sassy or spicy with his pitches and trying to snap it off more than he would probably in the previous starts. And I think that that's part of the reason why they were able to get so many hits, because a lot of those pitches were left in hittable parts of the zone. And what the Marlins did, Johnny, this weekend is what the Twins and the Pirates did to the Angels. And it was especially the Pirates. They just found a gap and they hit the gap. And that's a success. There's some success. There's a strategy there against the Halos that I think other teams are going to start picking up on, that you don't need to smash the ball against them and crush the ball against them, that you can find a hole and you can take advantage of these ground ball hitters if you hit it in just the right spot. And that's really what the Marlins did, especially against Soriano. Half of his pitches were sinkers, and they were hitting those. They were left a lot. He only threw his slider and his splitter just 7 times, which was unusual for him. And so it may have been that he was really trying to be extra fine. He was trying a bit too hard, and maybe he was a bit more confident in his sinker than any other pitch that he has in his arsenal.
There just seemed to be a lot of baseballs that were out of reach of like Zach Neto, right? Or Yohan Moncada, just like, oh, it just got snuck right through. And then I think about the way the Angels were hitting. Here's a good example. The Angels had a chance to score in the bottom of the 5th, 2 on, 2 out. Taylor Ward struck out. Then in the bottom of the 7th, 2 on and 1 out. Jo Adell lines into a double play. And it just felt like there were so many hit baseballs put in play that just felt like they were right at people.
Yeah.
Crazy outfield plays being made by the Marlins outfield and, dive in and roll in and all of that stuff. And so that was the thing, is it just felt like there was just some unlucky batted balls in play in this one. And then everything from the Marlins was just getting through just right. And that's all it took for them to be able to pile on. Mike, the frustrating thing was that, Cal Quantrill was done after 3 1/3, the starter.
And he was surprised. He was surprised that they came out to get him, but he was cruising up until that point, and then he allowed 2 base runners to get on, and then they took him out.
What's funny is even Jeremiah tweeted that he was confused about that, but I remembered something that he said about his Marlins on Friday. They're one of the most analytical teams and analytic-driven decision makers, especially when it comes to pitching. Remember, he said, you don't know which reliever's coming in because they're going off of the situation, the matchups, the analytics, all that stuff. And so I thought that this might have been an analytical decision to say, hey, Cal, like, you're done, dude. We got to go somebody else here.
Yeah.
That was my first instinct. Now, Jeremiah said he didn't know why they pulled him. He was surprised by that. But after hearing what he said on Friday, that to me felt exactly like what this was. And it turned out to be a good idea, right?
It worked out great because they eventually in the 5th inning brought in former Angel Hall of Famer Jansen Junk, right? And he comes in, wasn't great with the Halos, but he was able to shut this lineup down. And that was what was so frustrating. The Angels had opportunities to come back, but they were swinging at junk from Jansen Junk. They were not swinging at pitches in the zone. And then when they got pitches in the zone, they were back to guessing wrong, especially Taylor Ward. And no knock on Taylor Ward. I appreciate what he was able to do during this winning streak and in May. But the problem is that he was up there guessing in key moments. And those were moments that the Angels came through in previous games. Those were moments where you expected them to at least get a productive out. And they weren't able to get productive outs on Saturday, and that's why they found themselves in a hole like they did and weren't able to come back.
Yeah, one note about Taylor Ward, he did get to that extra base hit, franchise leading 10 straight games, so he breaks the record for the Halos. That was really the only thing you could smile about in this one, because everything else stunk, and we all thought, well, this one, bummer, but, we'll take the series on Sunday, and they most certainly didn't, and we're going to talk about that in just a second.
Sunday's game was a bummer of a game. The Angels lost 3-0. John, before the game, Jake Eder a left-handed pitcher from Salt Lake, was called up. Caden Dana sent back down, and Jake Eater got into this game. And so those are bad omens, I think, before those two games, right? You call up these guys to be your long relievers, and then they end up having to go in the game because it didn't go well for your team. Now, this one wasn't as bad on the pitching side as Saturday when Caden Dana fell apart. Jake Eater actually was good. Went 2 innings, walked 1, struck out 2. Big, tall lefty. I think a good move for the Angels to have him in there. Needed a fresh arm. And that's been the biggest thing, is when they get fresh arms, they need those fresh arms to actually be effective. This is a conversation that you and I had often last year when we talked about like a Griffin Canning, for example. Griffin Canning, 171 innings pitched last year. And you need guys you need warm bodies to eat up some innings, but you also need guys to actually, get through the inning and be successful in the inning. Be
effective.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that Caden Dana wasn't in his first inning on Saturday night. His next 2 were great. Jake Eater was actually pretty good. 2 innings again, 1 walk, 2 Ks, and looked confident out there and was really, I think, confusing the Marlins hitters. They didn't know what was coming, and they were swinging at a lot of nasty pitches. And then when they did make contact, he got a lot of pop outs, ground balls, and did his job coming into this game on Sunday.
Yeah, the lineup was one that left a lot of us wanting for more, and that was because there was no Neto, no Logan O'Hoppe, Tim Anderson leading off, and so all of us were kind of thinking, oh, they're just punting this series. Okay, I guess we're saving everybody for the Yankees on Monday night. But here's the thing, I'm looking at the the box score, and Tim Anderson had a hit, Travis d'Arnaud had a hit, Luis Rengifo had a hit. Everyone else, Mike, over, including Zach Neto and Logan O'Hoppe didn't get any hits in this one.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like, well, okay, you had a lineup that you weren't very excited about. The fact is, Sean Noel didn't get a hit. He did get a walk. Yohan Moncada walked, but no hits. Taylor Ward 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Jorge Soler 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. So the guys that you needed to keep doing what they had been doing prior to the series didn't do what they were supposed to do. So it didn't matter if you had Neto and O'Hoppe in this lineup.
Right.
And the guys who replaced them, like Tim Anderson, they actually had hits. So to me, it was like, well, that sucked to have that lineup to start the game. But then after it was over, it was like, well, it wouldn't have mattered either way because none of the guys that you counted on were coming through in this one, right?
Right, yeah. And really a lot of swings and misses from the guys up and down the lineup. And the guys that were in there to replace O'Hoppe and Neto did get hits. It was the guys around them that just didn't get hits. They were chasing that stupid breaking ball down low and away out of the zone.
Pitch. Every time it felt like, okay, here comes the curveball and chase. Oh, here comes the changeup and chase.
It's so frustrating because I'm sitting on my couch with my wonderful pistachios and I'm eating those, right? And I'm mocking the Angels because I'm like, I know it's coming.
Yeah.
Like glue that bat to your shoulder.
You've seen it at least once against Cabrera. I could understand against Cabrera, like, oh, he got me a first pitch with that curveball, but then he did it again.
Yeah.
And again.
Yeah.
And again. And then the relievers did it again and again. It was just like, guys, what are you doing?
Which is smart because you keep throwing it until they show you that they're going to adjust.
Right.
And the Halos didn't. They weren't communicating or they just didn't care. One moment that stood out to me, Johnny, bottom of the 6th, after back-to-back walks, Sean Noel and Moncada. Taylor Ward up, runners 2nd and 3rd after a wild pitch. He chases the furthest pitch. It was in Dodger Stadium was the pitch that he was chasing. I mean, it was so far out of the strike zone in the left-handed batter's box, and Ward chased it. And he knew that it was a terrible swing, but my goodness, it's in that moment where you need to have a bit of patience, and you knew it was coming. You knew that that's what they were throwing at you because they threw that multiple times in multiple innings, and that was the pitch that was getting everybody out. So 2-2, I'm again sitting on my couch and I'm looking at that and I said, he's going to throw you that sucker so far out of the zone, don't swing. And Ward swung at it, and that's really what happened all day long. They weren't able to get productive outs. They weren't able to move the runners around. They weren't able to do much of anything, and the Marlins tried to help them out, and the Angels just couldn't come through.
Well, and that's the thing. It was only a 3-0 game. And so to have a missed opportunity like that with Taylor Ward up at the plate, doing what they were doing, over a week ago is the problem. The offense combined for 3 hits and 3 walks. Mike, here we go again. Tell me if you've heard this before. 15 strikeouts.
I've heard this before.
First shutout since April 27th against the Twins.
Yeah.
And okay, here we go. Wash
Come
Wash
on.
said that the struggles at the plate today were more because of the Marlins pitcher, Edward Cabrera, and rather than having a bad approach. Are you kidding me?
You're right.
Are you kidding me? Can we have some accountability?
Right.
For goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Like you can there are very clear days where you can tip your cap to the opposing pitcher and go, man, he was dominant.
Yep.
But in this one, you just look dumb at the plate, chasing that curveball down and away on the first pitch swinging. And it was like, guys, this is not the fact that Edward Cabrera, who came in with a +5 ERA to this game, by the way, which is now down to a cool 4.73, Michael. So,
attaboy.
He lowered that, got it under 5 against the Angels. No, Wash. No.
Yeah. I'm not a defender of Kyle Hendricks, John. I like him. I like him as the 5th starter. Probably not the best option. Maybe if they thought about moving Reed back in there, maybe they could do that, and Reed would probably be better. Who knows, right? That's a whole nother conversation. But he wasn't bad, John. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, no walks, and 5 Ks. That's what you want from a 5th starter. And here's the thing about Kyle Hendricks. He has a 5.23 ERA, but he's allowed 3 runs or fewer in 7 of his 10 starts, and he's finished 5 innings or more in 8 of those 10 starts. That's what you want for a 5th starter. And so people who are frustrated with him, I understand the numbers look bad, but the reason why he's got a 5.23 ERA is because of those starts where he didn't go 6 innings or more, where he got crushed. That's where his ERA is really hurting. I mean, 8 of his 10 starts have been pretty good. He's done really well. And then 7 of his 10 starts, 3 runs or less, and you only have 1 win. The problem isn't Kyle Hendricks. The problem is the offense and what they did against the Marlins.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a Hendricks problem. And so if you're actually watching the game instead of just looking at the stat line, you'd realize 1 run in each inning that he gave up 3. It was the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th.
Yep.
And you think, oh, okay, let's take it to the bottom of the 4th, bottom of the 5th. Let's respond here. And the offense just didn't respond, and they didn't bail him out. And the thing is you didn't need to, have a suction hose to bail out your Kyle Hendricks boat. You just need the world's tiniest bucket to bail him out and get him some run support. So the fact that they got shut out and people are upset at Kyle Hendricks, come on. You're smarter baseball fans than that. And I'm not talking to our everydayers, obviously. I'm talking to people who are, ready to throw Hendricks off the boat when he's the one keeping it afloat. I didn't mean to rhyme there.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB Game Night. You can find the game on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to YouTube, get in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you, and we do our best to get back to each and every comment. Mike, what do we have on deck for Tuesday's show?
Jeff Fletcher talked to Perry Manassian about the winning streak, and Perry shared his thoughts on why the Halos were winning and what it means for the team this year. And so
that's why they lost. That was Jeff Fletcher broke the streak.
They were talking about it. Really, it was who's the guy that you sent me the tweet, and he talked about Bob Nightingale. That's why they have not won. It's his fault. Anyway, we're going to talk about Perry's thoughts on the winning streak and how he thinks that this impacts the team moving forward this season.
All right, friends, thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels. Until tomorrow's show, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
All right, y'all, take care. Have a great rest of your holiday, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
It's Bob Nightingale.
We got boobed.
That's what it was. It's over.